Alright, my last video clip for today is gonna be about red dot sights, which is more up my alley than the gun stuff I've been talking about. In the past, I've talked a fair bit about the DocterSight 3, which sits on my, nothing in a chamber, nothing in a magwell, on my AR-15 carbine, which I'm looking at as sort of the rear half of the carbine. I built it as a takedown, right, so the whole front comes off, and that's why I can easily demo it in a video without the barrel being in the next county. But anyhow, so I tested it on rifles, handguns, etc., and it worked pretty well. It fit very nicely, nice and low on my Alcon Spectre DR as a supplementary red dot sight, and I've learned that I like it. I like it there. I've taken it to a rifle class. I'm about to take it to another. You have to adjust to the cheek, to how you position your face, right? Because for regular magnified sight, I'm here, and for the red dot, I'm here, right? So for quick presentation, I basically have to jam it into my jaw. But if I do that, the dot is right in front of me, and I don't really have any issues with it, right? So I basically do this, and if I have to do anything with precision, I drop my head down a little bit, and I'm golden. Okay. Anyhow, that works well. So that's sort of my default red dot sight of all the ones I've tried. This is overall my favorite. The one thing I don't like too much about it is if you see it inside, the lens, the front lens, sticks out a little bit. So when I had it on a handgun, when I need to just grab it and run the slide, like I would with this guy, for example, if I just do this, I'm all over the glass. I'm actually putting pressure on the glass, on the lens, which I don't like, right? On this one, this is a Leupold DeltaPoint Pro. The glass is not recessed very much. If I would do this, I'm still might put a little bit of oil or something on the glass, but I'm not putting pressure on it. I'm really running it by the frame. Or here I can use this front side. But aside from that, I really like the DocterSight, and one of the things I really like about it is that the lens is very sharp. I have a little bit of astigmatism, and this thing has ultimately the sharper dot than most others, so it works well, although all the sights I have here are quite good. And another nice thing is that it automatically adjusts to ambient lighting, and it has 3 different profiles for it. So I've got it set up to be on the brightest side, where even if I am inside a darkened room and I look out into the bright sunlit area, I still see the dot very clearly. Another thing the only other thing that I don't like about it too much is that to replace the battery, you have to yank off the whole sight, and then you may have to resight it in a little bit. In all fairness, a couple of times that I did it, I did not have to do too much of a sighting adjustment. It hasn't really been an issue. I'll continue using it and beating it up, and we'll see how it holds up. Okay. Anyhow, so that's that. Somewhat new to me, well, I've had it for a little bit now, is a Leupold DeltaPoint Pro. If you look at them side by side, you can see that it's a significantly larger optic than the DocterSight, and that I like, right? So it's very quick for me to acquire, right? It has the way it's built, and there is a steel shroud on the outside, and there's an aluminum body, so it looks like it's very beefy, very robust, and in my use, it has not skipped a beat, not in the slightest. I had it on a 10mm carbine. I had it on an AR. Now I have it in a handgun. 0 issues. This particular DeltaPoint Pro has a 2.5 MOA dot, so it's small enough for precision. The other option is a triangle, a DeltaPoint, which I genuinely like. I like the triangles. I like playing with the vertex, except it is a reflex sight, and I have a slight astigmatism I developed in recent years. So that sharp point of a triangle that used to be very sharp for me 10 years ago no longer is. Right? For precision aiming, red dots are not great for me. But for speed, they work really well. I don't require a very fine precision point to shoot something quickly. All right, so what else do I like about DeltaPoint Pro? I like the fact, so to get the battery out, there is a little compartment here. You slide a latch and it comes up and you can replace the battery without removing the side, which is very nice. The window is wide and it is very fast to acquire. It's very easy to look through, which I like also quite a bit. What I don't like too much is how big this thing is. By the standards of the miniature red dot sights, this is a heavyweight. And the weight itself doesn't matter, but what matters to me is how thick the base is. These sights on the Atom slide are fairly tall. Why is somebody always calling me when I'm trying to record a video? Okay, that's going to voicemail. Okay, these sights are fairly tall, and I still cannot see these iron sights through the DeltaPoints. I can't use them. You can get a rear sight from Leupold that fits into this little groove in a DeltaPoint Pro, but for that you would need an even taller front sight, and I found one somewhere out there, but honestly I just don't want to mess with it too much. And also, if I want to remove the red dot, then I don't have a rear sight, right? So that's, for me, is not a terribly viable option. But if you were going to put it on and use it as a primary, you can. There is a way. Okay? So that's something to keep in mind. This particular sight does not have an automatic dot intensity adjustment. You have to press a button, and this is where probably my biggest complaint with this sight is. The button you press to adjust the dot intensity, I think there are 8 levels, you go up and down, is right there in the center, right? So this is the same complaint as I had with the Razor dead dot years ago when I looked at it, Vortex Razor. So to adjust the dot, I have to stick my fat finger right in there, and while I'm adjusting the dot, I don't really see how bright it is. I have to press, take it out and look, press, take it out and look. It's a pain in the ass, I don't like it. And it's close, reasonably close to the glass, and I don't want to put any more fingerprints on it than I have already. Okay. Aside from this height of the base and the location of the adjustment dot, I don't really have too many complaints. And in all fairness, for all of the sites that have external brightness adjustment, I can find a flaw with the location of all of them. When I talked about Meopta next, I will tell you why I don't like that button either. So I don't know if it's necessarily a particularly bad place to put a dot, but I don't like the fact that I don't see the dot while I'm adjusting its brightness. Let's see what else. Generally speaking, it's, for my purposes, because of the height of the base, for me this sight is at its best on a lightweight carbine or something. There it weighs nothing, adds nothing to the weight. It's sturdy, it's durable, the battery seems to last for a while, and it has this thing where it's motion activated. There is naturally auto shuttle, but also if I just put it down and don't touch it, in a little bit of time and the dot will just turn off. It will turn on by itself when I pick it up and it moves. I think that's a cool thing. I think it's a very nice feature. I think for a defensive rifle that's sitting somewhere most of the time, I think that's a great feature. From a defensive standpoint, one of the things I like is I want to be able to grab the weapon and have my sight more or less working for me with a minimal number of manipulations, buttons, and all that sort of stuff. So this motion activated shut off kind of does that. That is pretty cool. Right, so does it work on handguns? Yes. Does it work well? Yes, but if you demand co-witnessing, you'll have to jump through some hoops. Aside from that, great sight, very impressed with it. I like it more than the original DeltaPoint. Lastly is the Meopta MeoRed. So I like Meopta optics. They generally do well. I saw that they had a new red dot sight, so I got my hands on it. It's pretty compact. It's roughly the same size as the DoctorSight, and it has almost the same footprint. Almost, but not quite. For example, I have a DoctorSight sort of a mount for the Atom slide, which has a front and back limiter because of dovetail, and Meopta does not fit in there. But even if it did, while Meopta uses the same location pins as DoctorSight, does not use the same screw locations. These are set further back. So generally you need a different plate for most things. However, if you are shooting with a Glock MOS system, then the #1 plate, the same plate that works with Fastfire and Dr. Optics, will also work with your Meopta MeoRed or MeoSight 3. Any of them, the location pins are the same, and Glock put in a couple of extra threaded holes that you can use with MeoRed. This particular one has a 3 MOA dot, just like the DoctorSight that I have, and since I did not have an immediate way to put it on this guy, the plate didn't quite fit. I used the included Picatinny mount and put it on my 10mm. Not a bad idea anyway, because this thing is a boomer, and if I want to do a durability test, this is a nice gun for it. So far, I can joyfully tell you that it has not skipped a beat. Okay. Though the MeoRed does not have a automatic light intensity adjustment either, it has a dot you press right here on the side, and this dot is very tactile. It's got sort of a soft touch rubberized plasticky thingy. It sticks out a little bit, right? So you don't have to work very hard to find it. That's the good part. The bad part is that it's not terribly difficult to press it accidentally. And what I found is that, so it comes with this rubber cover. When I slide it on, the rubber cover stretches just slightly over the dot, and now it's really easy to press it accidentally. It does have auto shut off, but you have to be a little bit careful with it, otherwise you'll run out of sight real estate. In terms of the size of the lens, size of the window, it's a little bit on the small side. Width is very similar to the DoctorSight, but DoctorSight gives you a little bit more space out in the corners. In the center, it's about the same. It's significantly smaller than DeltaPoint, but it's also lighter. The way they did the battery compartment I like a lot. In the past, I've looked at the MeoSight 3 from Meopta, which I liked quite a bit. It was very similar. That one had a little shelf, a slide out shelf in which you put your battery. The MeoRed has a lower base, and the battery, while you still shove it in from the side, so you don't have to remove the whole red dot, the whole optic to replace the battery. There are 2 screws that you kind of yank out, and then there is a slot in there in which you insert the battery sort of spring loaded. It seems to be a very robust way to put a battery in, and I don't think it's budging. Okay, so that I liked quite a bit. What else I didn't like? Honestly, that's basically it. My other thing is that, well, that's not really a criticism of the site per se. It ships with this base from Racknagel. Racknagel is some European company that makes mounts, and it's a very nice mount. This mount works with Meopta and with DoctorSight, I think, and it's a quick removable thing. It has this lever on the left. Well, guess where this lever goes if you're trying to carry this thing in the holster? Right in your sight. So I did a bunch of presentation drills with it, and then I had a nice bleeding gash in my side because I had a holster that's reasonably tight fitting, and I'm fat and chubby, and I overhang. So for me, with this mount on a carry gun, this is not an option. But this is sort of interesting. This is where, if you choose to use it in a carry gun, this easily accessible control, this little button on the left, it's pretty easy to use. As you get your hand to a gun, it's very easy to press. But I am not sure if I would trust something like that unless I had co-witnessing on the iron sights, which, as I've I talked about before, I cannot easily do with this guy. Aside from that, I like the sight a lot. I will figure out a way to put it on this slide so that I can co-witness it and mess with it there. And I'm also gonna put it on my 308 rifle and as a auxiliary sight at 45-degree angle and see how it survives recoil. My initial impressions are largely positive, and what I want to figure out through use is whether this little dot that sticks out on the side, whether I will be engaging it accidentally when it's covered, right, by accidentally pressing the cover or whatnot. The battery life is rated for 300 or 400 hours, something like that, which for a miniature red dot is not bad. And I want to see how it does. Aside from that, so there is a very slight blue tint to this. It's very, very minor. All the red dots do have a slight color tint. The lens looks very clear. It's supposed to have oleophobic coatings, which did not prevent me from immediately putting a fingerprint on it. From the standpoint of cycling the slide with it, it's not bad. The lens is very slightly recessed, and since the mount comes out in the front, when I was using it to do quick gun manipulation drills, it was pretty easy to do this without touching the optic, or I can do this and do this. Right. So that worked well enough. Right, so that's that. These are the 3 red dot sights I'm looking at right now. I'm probably gonna look at a couple more. I'm almost done with the DeltaPoint, and I've ended up owning the DocterSight. I liked it a lot, and we'll see how it goes with the Meopta. So far, I like what I see. But I'm leaning, for handgun use, I'm leaning towards sights that have automatic brightness adjustment, like the DocterSight. So with the Meopta, I'll play with it for a bit, and I'll put it in a rifle and see how it does there. Time will tell.